It's a very exciting time. I'm counterintuitive in this. I think this is a time when you have access to extraordinary tools. When I began in the days in Fred's period and my period, we began with 400-foot roll of film, a precious entity that you stuck in a camera and thought very carefully about doing this interview before you even turned the camera on. You know, it was very, very hard to get access to those tools. Now you have access to extraordinary tools. You have the editing room in your laptop. You have all of the possibilities to follow your curiosity out into the world and to do really interesting work. And so I think it's an exciting time. I think it's a time when, as a young journalist, I want to know everything about not just shooting and editing, but also know about working online and how to post and how to work inside those programs, because you're going to be able to do all of those things in the future. And it's a great training and a great opportunity right now. I think that one of the things that's quite wonderful about the web, and in 1995 when we first went on the web, the very first deep content editorial website really anybody had done, my great dream then was to be able to put the film on the web so that anybody could find it. And if you look now at the archive of Frontline films, over 100 documentaries sitting on that website, they are an extraordinary resource. And if I were a young documentary filmmaker, I would go to those films and I would study them. In the way that once upon a time in the 19th century, if you wanted to be a painter, you went to the Metropolitan Museum and you put your easel up and you try to learn how to paint like Sargent. Well, now you go and look at films that are really well made and try to puzzle out how they were made. How did somebody decide to edit quite that way? How did they possibly get those sequences together? And if you're really very thoughtful and smart about it, you might even actually track down the producer and ask him a few questions. Because in fact, people are always delighted to talk about their own work. So there is a great university of material out there. And I've always thought of Frontline as being a place that produced the kind of films that people in the future would look back at, not just as a record of our time and of the history of this period, but also as examples of the kind of filmmaking and journalism that we think holds on to a great tradition. Be curious. Be curious. Follow your curiosity. Journalism is a license to be curious. I think more and more we will need more people to be able to interpret a complicated world for us. I think the costs are dropping precipitously. I think you can do extraordinary work for very little money and very little investment. You can put it up on YouTube just as you've done this piece of video on YouTube, and you can communicate with literally hundreds, thousands and many thousands of people. That's an extraordinary opportunity.